The mobile RTX 4090 graphic card is the coolest thing I've seen on any laptop in a long time. But I won't kick this video with the GPU right away, because I'd risk overshadowing a very interesting CPU, so just have a little patience and let's talk about the Intel Core i9 13980HX until then. Last year we were blown away by the performance of the 12980HX, a CPU that shows even to desktop models who's the man. But in 2023, the situation is even more spectacular. That is, the new Core i9 is so powerful it outperforms even desktop CPUs like 12900K of the last generation or AMD's current 7900X. And again, we're talking about a laptop CPU, but it's one with 24 cores and 32 threads, with no less than 36 megabytes of Intel Smart Cache memory and frequencies as high as 5.6 GHz. That's something, and in the tests I've run, it has achieved some insane results. Voila! And since we're talking about other processors, let's see how the new 13980HX compares to the 12900K and 7900X in Cinebench R20. In the single-core test, the higher frequency of Intel's new flagship is straight up felt. It scored no less than 821 points here, compared to the 749 for the 12900K and 784 for the 7900X. In the multi-thread scenario, the situation is much the same. At the top of the list is 13980HX with 11,848 points. Second is 7900X with 11,241 points. And the weakest is the 12900K with only 10,267. Wow, are you sure this is a laptop CPU? We don't usually mix apples and oranges and desktop CPUs with laptop CPUs, but surprise! The 13900HX beats the other two. Of course, it manages to deliver so much performance thanks to the laptop itself as well. This new 18-inch Scar offers quite a bit of headroom for temperatures and power consumption. So in a 150 watts configuration, the processor quickly reaches 100 degrees Celsius, but does so at very high frequencies. Well, this is where we see the first red flags. After a long time running, the CPU frequency drops below expectations. This can cause stuttering, lag or other problems, but you need a really heavy load to bring it to this state. So for gaming, all good. For video editing, rendering or 3D modeling, I'd advise you to be a little careful. But everything I've talked about to this point is trivial. If the CPU has proven to be a performer that fights head-to-head with desktop models, wait till you see the GPU. And you ain't seen nothing yet. And so, we get to the part of the video called RTX 4090 laptop. Let's have a look under the hood. 9728 CUDA cores. Boost frequency up to 2040 MHz. Power consumption up to 150 watts. 16 GB of GDDR6 memory on a 256-bit bus, and all NVIDIA technologies. But in the case of this Strix Scar 18, the flagship GPU can suck up to 175 watts, which makes it even more interesting. But these specs are just little indicators of what's to come, so without further ado, let's see what the test results are. Let's start with 3D Mark, the crowd's favorite. In TimeSpy, we got a total of 20,346 points, and in Firestrike we jumped 30k for a total of 35,214 points. And if you stop for a second and take a look at the RTX 4070 Ti desktop scores, you'll realize pretty quick that what we are seeing here are the best results we ever achieved on any portable device. Obviously, at such raw performance, the gaming results could only skyrocket, and that's at the native screen resolution 2550 by 1600 pixels. To put it bluntly, even Cyberpunk 2077 didn't manage to push the configuration of this laptop too hard. Here we have an average of 90 FPS with a low of 57. And this was the only game out of the few I picked that posed any problems, so gamers will be extremely pleased with this laptop. One life, two kidneys, do the math. RTX 4090 laptop GPU manages to stay at over 60 FPS on average in all the games we tested with ray tracing and/or DLSS. In Cyberpunk, we left the resolution at 1600p and chose the ray tracing ultra graphics preset. Along with DLSS on balanced, I averaged 84 frames per second and a low of 64. Not bad at all. Metro Exodus with ray tracing on Ultra and DLSS balanced averaged 96 FPS with 55 the lowest value. Returnal at maximum with RTX and DLSS saw a very good average of 143 FPS. But here we also saw the first higher fluctuations with a 1% low value of 79 FPS. The last game I tested was Shadow of the Tomb Raider with everything maxed out, ray tracing enabled, and in this case, no DLSS. I averaged 114 frames per second with fluctuations up to 94 frames, so again an absolutely stable and smooth experience. And throughout the entire test session, the RTX 4090 laptop graphic card with its 175 watts power consumption did not go over 75 degrees Celsius. But you see, a laptop isn't just a CPU and a GPU. If there's one thing I like about ROG laptops, it's the thoroughness of the configurations, their sense of responsibility. For every one of those fancy CPU plus GPU combos, you need memory and storage to match. The Scar 18 comes with 32 GB of DDR5 memory at 4800 megatransfers per second and 2 TB storage. There's not much to say about memory, but what I want to elaborate a bit on is storage performance. The specs tell about an NVMe SSD that uses the PCI Express Gen 4 bus. But on a closer inspection, we discovered a very interesting configuration. It is not one, but two Samsung SSDs in a RAID array. You still get 2 TB of storage, but the speed is much improved. How much? Well, in a Crystal Disk Mark run on Fast Forward, I recorded a read speed of 11,179 megabytes per second with a peak write speed of 8,445 megabytes per second. That's above the specifications mentioned on Samsung's website, where speeds of up to 7,000 megabytes per second read and up to 5,200 megabytes per second write are specified. Another thing I really liked about the Scar 18 is the screen. I find it hard not to use fancy words when talking about it, so I'll just call it awesome. Is that okay? As for the 18-inch diagonal, I found it big at first, but as you quickly get used to it and see how good it is, you start to wonder how you could ever use something as small as 15, 16-inch toys. Don't be too mean, I poke fun from time to time, but all jokes aside, I really liked this whole 18-inch offer, especially since I do a lot of on-the-go video editing. Yes, the laptop is a bit cumbersome to carry in your backpack, maybe a bit uncomfortable, but the moment you lift the screen, you quickly forget these shortcomings. As I said, it has a resolution of 2560 by 1600 pixels and 16 by 10 aspect ratio, 240 Hz refresh rate, support for NVIDIA G-Sync and HDR, like in Dolby Vision HDR. I guess it's the coolest display on any gaming laptop. I think it's important to mention that there's also a Strix Scar 2023 in a 16-inch version. This one comes with a mini LED panel with a maximum brightness of 1100 nits and with specs and performance close to those of the 18-inch model, so both variants are desirable. But I know which I'd choose, the bigger version. The display now takes up almost 90% of the front of the laptop, and the extra amount of screen is useful in software like Photoshop or Resolve, as well as in Office. Unfortunately, there are some problems in games and some titles simply refuse to read the extra space, running with black bars up and down. One example is Horizon Zero Dawn, as you can see in the pictures. But that's simple stuff, which will be fixed with a driver update and possibly a game update. There is also a schematic in the NVIDIA control panel. You open it by right-clicking on the desktop, and once you get that interface taken right out of Windows XP, you go to the Adjust Desktop Size and Position menu and select the full screen option for scaling mode. That will force all applications to scale to full screen, but some images may look a little stretched, but I prefer that to black bars. Another aspect that was taken into account is the design. The Scar 18 seems like an evolution in build and design, but it's not perfect either. The most annoying thing, which I'm sure many will notice, is the I/O placement. In the past, it used to lay on the back of the laptop, totally unobtrusive. You didn't have to think about on which side was which USB. The 2023 version brings back connectivity on the sides, and even though I don't like it, I prefer it that way. Why? Because of the cooling system. Asus have almost completely reworked the cooling system in the Scar 18 and implemented a quieter and more powerful cooler. So quiet that all you'll hear is the pressurized airflow. Don't think that suddenly it became very quiet, but at least you're not forced to listen to the high-pitched hum that the small fans put out. Kudos for the touchpad as well. It's bigger and more useful, and with a rather slippery, fingerprint-proof surface, it has become so useful that I no longer felt the need for a mouse in apps other than games. The Scar 18 is not only the most powerful laptop I've ever laid my hands on, it's also one of the best in general. These two things don't always mean the same, but all these goodies come at a great cost. And when I say big, it's really big. For a setup just like the one we had here, you have to scratch through your pockets for about $4,000. For a laptop, that's a lot of cash, but the performance is out of this world, reaching for the world of serious desktop PCs. You'd have to be oblivious or straight up blind not to see what a piece of work this Scar is, armed with its Intel 14th Gen series and Nvidia's 4000 family. And it's also the biggest leap in performance I've ever seen from one generation to the next. And now let's hear it. How do you find this laptop with Intel's 13th Gen CPU and Nvidia's 4000 GPU series? Tell me what you like and don't like about this big boy. What do you think of the test results? Spill your thoughts in the comment section, subscribe to Techniqualities, and thanks for watching.